A new Pokémon Snap is coming to the Nintendo Switch. I've been excited for a Pokémon Snap sequel for a very long time. The brief glimpses we got looked incredible, but in this video I want to go over 10 things I believe this Pokémon Snap sequel needs. The first one I want to talk about is probably the first thing that comes to mind when someone says Pokémon Snap sequel, and that is you need lots of Pokemon in there. The original Pokémon Snap on N64 did have quite a few Pokemon, but a lot of that game's storage was committed to sticker printing capabilities. While I love that game, it is a very short, shallow game. So now that you have the processing power of the Nintendo Switch, you have hundreds and hundreds of Pokemon to draw from, then yeah, that's what you need for a Pokemon Snap sequel. From the short trailer we got, it looks like we are going to get hundreds and hundreds of available Pokemon to take pictures of. The video footage we got really only showcases off a single beach level, and just in that single beach level, there are a lot of Pokemon in every single shot. Every way you look, there are multiple species of Pokemon. Not only are there lots and lots of Pokemon, but the fun of Pokemon Snap was seeing these Pokemon just running around in their natural environment outside of just battling. In the trailer, we see Swannas and Pelipers that are very floaty, as they should be, but you also get Wailord and Sharpedo breaching the water, mimicking actual marine life. Your smaller, cuter Pokemon like Scorbunny and Pichu seem light and relatively weak, especially compared to stronger, bulkier Pokemon like Torterra. It's not enough to just have the Pokemon models in the game to take pictures of. These Pokemon have to feel unique. They have to feel like those Pokemon, like real wildlife in this Safari game. We still have a lot more to see of this game since it is still currently in production, but just from what we've seen, I think they've already nailed this aspect of the game. The second thing I think this new Pokemon Snap sequel needs is a fun, dynamic series of areas. In the original Pokemon Snap, we had 6 tracks, and then Rainbow Cloud was its own kind of track that only had Mew in it, so technically 7. But even though there were only 6, each one of those had a very unique feel. It had its own music. If you said right now, the Pokemon Snap River level, I can already hear the music from that level in my head. Even though Pokemon Snap is basically a rail shooter game, these levels made you feel like you were an actual part of those environments and that you weren't just on rails. With the capabilities of the Switch, the new Pokemon Snap needs to do this times 100. From the trailer, we know that this still is a rail shooter, but from what we saw of this one beach level, these levels are going to be way more complex, way bigger, with so much more to do in them. You can move over land, over water. It looks like you can create different scenarios between Pokemon that can interact, but this is still only one area, and that can be really boring. You're not going to want to replay one area over and over again, no matter how good it looks. So this game needs to not only nail the music and the feel of each of these different areas. They said in the trailer that there's a series of islands where these Pokemon live, so I'm assuming each island will have its own distinct features, but you still need to go to the next level because this is the new Pokemon Snap. I need to see some things that the original game didn't give me. Give me different types of environments like snowy peaks or deserts, underwater, in a haunted house, or Distortion World. Like I said before, it's not enough to just have Pokemon in this game. You have to give them interesting things to do, certain behaviors and movements, and the same goes for the types of environments that they have to interact with. And speaking of environments, the third thing that I believe the new Pokemon Snap needs is dynamic environments. And it looks like we're getting that from the trailer. From the different scenes, it seems like it's the same level, but we saw it at daytime and at nighttime. Not sure how these changes will actually be implemented, if it will be reflective of the real world time that you're playing the game, or if you can choose to go into the level at daytime or nighttime. But just having that is nice, but also let's get some weather effects in here. Different types of weather effects causing different Pokemon to behave differently. Maybe certain Pokemon only come out during certain types of weather or during the night only. All things that the mainline games have already been doing, just smush it all into this Pokemon Snap. And while you're at it, make the environment as interactive as the Pokemon. In the original game, you could throw Pester Balls or apples and hit Pokemon to get different behaviors out of them, But what if you threw a Pester Ball at a tree, which shakes it a little bit, and a pine cone falls out? Or maybe you could lure a Snorlax into the middle of a stream, and it blocks the flow of the stream and dams it up so that all of these other Pokemon gather around it to try to figure out what's going on and give you these new opportunities for better pictures. The more variance you have between all of these different environmental factors, all of these different Pokemon, and things that the player can do to manipulate the Pokemon and the environment, you're going to increase the amount of replayability you have in this game. So the more dynamic features you have, the better. Even though this game will remain an on-rail shooter, the fourth thing I think it needs is more open exploration. I don't mean go full open world, Breath of the Wild, just more options on how you play through a level, potentially having split paths that you come to where you can visit different areas of the island once you're in the level designated for just that island. So just within the beach area, do you want to go over the water, or would you rather stick along the coast, or do you want to go to the center of the island? Or potentially just adding in more features to the rails. So say you come up to a certain part of the island where there's a giant tree, and you can stop and scale to the top of that tree and stay stationary for a bit to get better pictures of flying type Pokemon, or just more shots of Pokemon but from above. So not exactly going full open world, but having more options for exploration along these very well crafted rails. This could be especially cool if there was a cityscape level where as you approach skyscrapers, you can actually scale those and get pictures of Pokemon from different elevations, from different angles, which could potentially be amazing in VR as well, where rising, falling, and adjusting the speed can be more like a roller coaster ride with photography. Number 5 on this list, side missions. And I'm not talking about your classic RPG side missions of, oh, go into this level and take 5 pictures of a Pidgey. No. I'm talking missions that, upon acceptance, will create unique scenarios for you to get pictures that you couldn't get otherwise. So say you're given a mission that you need to lure a swarm of Beedrill from one side of the island to the other as you go. So you're tossing lures or whatever it is that gets all of these individual groups of Beedrill to all go to one spot on the other side of the island. That way, at the end of the track, you've got 50 Beedrill all in one spot, which will give you a unique opportunity to get a picture of a lot of Pokemon in one shot. Or maybe even a side mechanic where as you go through certain levels, you can collect different berries and bring those berries back to your base of operations, whatever Pokemon lab or whatever it is you're working from. And maybe there you have a Shuckle that you can put these berries into, and after a certain amount of time you can come back and that Shuckle has fermented you some berry juice, which you can then take back into those levels to use for different types of effects. These side missions and crafting mechanics don't have to be very in-depth. The focus of the game is taking pictures of Pokemon on an on-rail shooter, but like I keep saying, the more dynamic your variables are for the game, the more replay value you're going to get out of it. Getting new items and going back into levels you've already played to see what kinds of different effects and Pokemon behaviors you can get are gonna make you want to play this game non-stop. While we're on the topic of missions, number 6 on this list is boss battles. I want the new Pokemon Snap to have boss battle levels. Much like Mew was kind of a secret boss in Rainbow Cloud in the original Pokemon Snap, but amped way up for the Nintendo Switch. Imagine Rainbow Cloud where you're soaring through the atmosphere, but instead of just Mew in a bubble that you're having to just Pester Ball over and over again, which gets really repetitive and boring, you have these massive Pokemon events happening. So say you're up in the atmosphere and you have Deoxys fighting Rayquaza, and it's really difficult to get a picture because they're moving around so much. So you have to try to intervene in the battle or get their attention so that they'll stop for a second, allowing you to get a really good shot. Or imagine a massive time-space battle with Giratina, Dialga, Palkia, and Arceus going on, where you could even have these individual portals opening up where you can get photos through portals. You could do the same thing with a giant Hoopa battle. I can even imagine a level where a Pokemon has Gigantamaxed and is destroying an island, and so you're having to dodge around debris and falling trees or buildings trying to get a good shot, while in the meantime maybe having to throw pester balls or other items to try and stop it. It could be rad as hell, and it's something I want, and it's something that I think the game needs. Number 7, this game needs a well-developed community sharing aspect. The original game, you got your pictures judged by Professor Oak, he would give them a score, and then they just went in your album with that score attached to them. This game absolutely needs a way to see other people's photos, to access them in an organized way, and to rate them. This feature could easily become a huge mess where it's just one page of all of the most liked photos, and so you just get a huge mix of things. What this feature needs is a way to search for specific users, maybe have a friends only list just so you see your Switch friends pictures, and also a way to search if I just want to look at pictures of Wailord and see which ones have the highest scores or which ones have the most likes. I should be able to do that. Or to view just the top scoring or top liked photos from a certain area if I want just the beach level and I want to see what all of the highest scoring photos or what the most upvoted photos for the beach area are. That would be great. When I think about great photo sharing communities, I mainly think about the recent Assassin's Creed games, where when you look at the main map, you have these little photo icons where you have the option of clicking on that and seeing a photo that another user took in that specific area that has a lot of votes. And as you're viewing it, you can either like it or choose to get rid of it from your map. The Switch already has a great feature for just taking screenshots and uploading them straight to social media. So there's gonna be tons of Twitter pages that are already just photos that were taken in Pokemon Snap and uploaded straight onto Twitter. And that's where a lot of the clutter is going to come from. So that's why I think that the new Pokemon Snap needs its own dedicated area for searching through popular photos from the community, which leads me into the number 8 thing that I think this game absolutely needs, and that is leaderboards. I want a leaderboard for every single Pokemon that's available in this game. That way I can search Dodrio, and it's going to give me the top scoring Dodrio photos from everyone. I want to know how my Dodrio photo ranks. I want to look at the top photos and try to get ideas on how to get better photos of Dodrio. I want to get competitive about it. And again, this is going to create a lot more replay value when you say, oh man, I really want to get the top shot of my favorite Pokemon Shuckle, but I'm 150th on the leaderboard. How am I going to get a better picture of Shuckle? I need to go back and replay those Shuckle levels. Number 9 on this list is another no-brainer, but it's a necessity, and that is more mechanics, more items at your disposal. In the original Pokemon Snap, you of course had the Apple, the Pester Ball, and the Pokeflute. Using these items could draw out unique behaviors from Pokemon, could potentially evolve the Pokemon, could move them from one area to the next. So just more of that. Load us down with different items that we can use in multiple ways throughout levels. One thing I really want added to this game is a braking feature. That way you're not forced to travel constantly along the rails. You can actually stop and try to get pictures. Even one-use items could be fun if you take a leaf stone into a level and use it to evolve a Gloom, so that every time you revisit that level, there's a Vileplume there instead. Or if the player, as a photographer, had a way to equip Mega Stones or Z Crystals, that way you can get different attacks or Mega Evolutions out of certain Pokemon you can encounter. The Pokemon franchise has so many items that you can draw from and expand upon and use in really unique ways for this game. Pour it on. Number 10, the final thing that I think the new Pokemon Snap needs is Todd Snap. You need at least a cameo from Todd Snap. We know from the trailer that you are no longer playing as this character, but he could be a potential mentor. He could be the one sending you out to these islands to get pictures, or he could be this transcended Pokemon photography god by this point. There's no way you can make a new Pokemon Snap without Todd. There are a lot of other features that are kind of a given, like gyro controls or updated storage for your photos. I just wanted to go over kind of a top 10 features that I absolutely need in the game to be fully satisfied, and I'm going to go ahead and call it now. I think that the Pokemon Company will use this game as a way to reveal a brand new Pokemon, and I'm calling it now. It's going to be a Narwhal. Just got a feeling. I think it's going to be a Narwhal Pokemon. But thanks for watching. Stay tuned to the channel for more vintage Pokemon content and more content following the new Pokemon Snap on Switch. Links to my socials are in the description. I will see you guys next time. Bye.